guys, welcome to the Our Thoughts on This podcast. My name's Jason,
I'm Alex.
It's Ollie.
I'm Trakari.
and today we're going to be talking about college athletics and should these athletes be getting paid? So I just want to get an overall baseline of what everybody's kind of ideas on the topic are. So Ollie, how are you feeling about paying college athletes?
Kind of like a mixed bag. Like if you're getting a scholarship, I I don't think you should be getting paid. But if the school is like using your likeness to make money, I think you should get a percentage of that.
All right. How about you, Chakari?
I think with through Nail Deal, I think like, because you always hear the story of like kids getting in trouble because they like signed an autograph and somebody gave them like $5 or whatever. So like I feel like they should definitely be allowed to make money on their likenesses. I don't know if that necessarily means the school paying them, but I definitely think they should be able to like have sponsorships and like do commercials and whatever, especially if they're popular enough. Because I mean, if we're being let's face it, most of these kids, at least the good ones, are getting paid anyway. So like they might as well just be able to do it and not get in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying? So I think they should be paid. So
All right. How about you, Alex?
I think that endorsements are fine because we live in a day and age where athletes are celebrities. And so they're going to be using their likeness to promote products or whatever they're going to be chosen to promote. And I believe that those endorsements are fine. I do not believe that the school themselves should be paying the athletes.
All right. And did I already say
You have not.
myself personally, I am of the opinion that these schools should pay the athletes. I'm not saying, they have to be super expensive contracts or something like that, but the athletes should still see some of the profit that the school brings together. So, with that said, I want to talk about a specific team. I don't want to, because I feel like once you start talking about other teams, it might get a little bit it might get a little bit crazy. So I want to talk about the specific team. Oh my gosh, that article doesn't want to work because it wants me to disable my ad blocker. Pause. I want to talk about Texas A&M. They are one of the most valuable football teams in the United States, college football teams in the United States, and they are bringing in, as of the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2022, they received a sum of $49.9 million in revenue distributions from the SEC, which is the Southeastern Conference. But overall, they have an annual average revenue of $148 million per year. And my question to you guys, just why shouldn't any of these student athletes see just a small percentage of that? I want to start with Alex because I think he's the most firm in his opinion that they shouldn't be getting paid.
They should not be getting paid like specifically like contract or handout essentially from these schools, regardless of how much money is being put in, because when it comes to the revenue that they're bringing in, that revenue should be put back towards the football team itself, improving their program, improving other, whether it's the stadium or whatever they need to do for those improvements. And you're not going to see any of that if it's going to the athletes themselves. Also, having the college pay the athlete is leading yourself into a slippery slope towards endorsements and or specific like enticements for colleges to pick athletes over, or for athletes to pick colleges over others when they are essentially applying for schools. And so I feel like that's going to lead into like really um, unfair practices towards getting better athletes, towards better schools. Not to say that better schools don't already get better athletes, but I'm saying that it's going to be even more disproportionate if you are allowing these schools to entice their athletes with financial compensation.
All right. I feel like you had something to say, Retrocard.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say like everything like you just said. Like I know you kind of just said like that kids already pick better schools, but like everything you already said, like it's already happening. The amount of NFL players currently who are like, oh yeah, Alabama paid me, like Clemson paid me, and like it's already happening. Like the schools who have the money, they're paying the best. They're paying like 5-star XYZ recruits to go to their schools to play there. And I think the argument that like it should be going to like stadium. I mean, I think it makes sense, but I mean, ultimately, like most of these, like I said, most of these schools they're already doing that. They're paying their player, or at least they're paying their best players, and then they're also putting money toward stadiums, jerseys. Well, I debate how much of that comes from like sponsorship deals, like having Nike or Adidas as your jersey sponsor or whatever. But yeah, just ultimately like all that stuff's already happening. So the way I see it, if it's already happening, we might as well just say,
Right. But
but like you know,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I mean not like I was just saying not who cares, but like because in a perfect world we wouldn't be paying college kids millions of dollars to play sports. They'd be going there for education. But speaking realistically, if when we're talking about these high end recruits, how many of them are there for more than like a year or two, whether it's basketball, football, whatever sport you're playing. Not many are there for more than like a year or two if they're really good. So like it's kind of just like a losing battle, And I don't think. Yeah, I'll stop there and just let you say what you have to say.
So are you trying to say like if they do get into a contract with the school, they should be like required to like stay there for all 4 years?
That's
Um,
interesting.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because like I think the transfer portal is like some people are against the transfer portal for athletes. I think it's a good thing. If your team sucks or if you're not getting playing time, I think you should be able to leave and do whatever you need to do. But I don't know if they were to officially announce like, okay, this player is getting paid, maybe not, maybe 2 years. I don't think they should have to like if their team like sucks. I don't think they should have to be there for 4 years while everybody else can just like leave or whatever. It's like a complex thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
The
think that's
the
what I'll say.
way the way I kind of like to think about it is there's a 7.3% chance of eligible NCAA athletes, football college athletes, uh, to enter the NFL. And to be super realistic, all
Yeah,
these kids who are playing college football are not going to enter the NFL. Most of them will go on to become teachers or doctors or whatever else, and most of them will never touch, uh, an NFL stadium's grass. So
yeah,
what I'm thinking of is kind of more of a system that allows these players who are just as important to a part of the team, to also. I'm not talking about paying college kids millions of dollars in contracts. I'm not talking about that. But when a school like Texas A&M is making 1% off actually let me use this. They're making 6% off multimedia rights, which is obviously them selling the games to be shown on different channels and stuff like that. As a player, I don't think it's that crazy to just say, can I get 1% of that 6%, to secure myself once I leave college. And I give up they get a full ride to school.
But see, that's
But
the thing. They don't get a full ride. 57% of Division 1 athletes get any form of financial aid, like at all. That's including full ride, and that's including book scholarships where they're covering maybe $1,000 a year for books. Like if they're going to be paying their athletes, uh give them scholarships instead. That's the thing.
all right, boom. I like that argument. If you're gonna be playing, so you're saying if you're playing a college athlete, and your argument is that all college athletes need to be paid, well then instead of let's say paying all college athletes, all of them should be getting free rides to school.
Yeah, instead of
Right?
singling out players to pay them, they should be putting that money towards better scholarship packages for their athletes.
Okay. I can get behind that. I can get behind that. My whole thing is I'm not saying that more players. I was thinking more in my head, kind of. kind of like a fund where the school funnels it, and then it's evenly distributed amongst the team, amongst the players of the team. Because I do agree, once you start getting into the, okay, this kid is the QB for Clemson, and he's making $1 million a year playing college football, but the guy who's the second string wide receiver is only getting 20,000 a year. I do think that's a problem. I understand where that can become like a slippery slope, like you guys were talking about earlier.
I mean,
Uh,
I
well,
mean, but that's just professional sport. Oh, sorry.
yeah. Sorry. You're saying that like it should be evenly distributed amongst the team. What? Okay, so like let's say one school is doing that, and one school is just paying each player based on like however money they bring in.
But
well,
I
I'm
think that's
pretty.
unfair towards the player. I mean, obviously in
Yeah,
the NFL, you're going to have players like quarterbacks that are going to make $20 million a year. But I mean, if you don't have that offensive line, the quarterback's is going to do nothing, right? Just saying
exactly.
that because the quarterback's bringing in the money, therefore the offensive line shouldn't get any of it.
But
Or
that's
if it
not
was
what I'm saying.
distributed, like I would be pretty mad if I was that quarterback and I was putting in hella work and some walk on is doing like nothing pretty much, and he's and we're getting like the same pay. That's not going to fly with me. I'm going to get in that transfer portal and try to go to a school that doesn't do that.
Well, I would say, well, in my mind, this will all be regulated by the NCAA. It wouldn't be up to the school because if you leave it up to the school,
Hear that the
kind of going back to
NCAA
that
isn't
slippery.
corrupt.
Well, I completely agree. The NCAA is corrupt. All sports organizations are corrupt. But I'm saying if you leave it up to the
Not
school,
like the NCAA. The NCAA is crazy.
I mean, but I'm saying I'm saying if you leave it up to the schools, clearly the schools with the schools that get the most amount of play, like the Big Ten schools who bring in the most money, who are also have the most athletes. I mean, it is going to be they're going to have they would have an unfair advantage against other teams because they can attract players better. I'm saying, oh, well, if you come be the QB for Oregon, we'll pay you $2 million versus Clemson paying you one. I'm saying maybe what I'm thinking is wrong. Maybe there needs to be a pool of money each school, kind of like a salary cap. Each school has an allotment of money that must be evenly divided to each player, and it's the same amount for every school, or every tier of school. So
At
if
that
you're a
point, why
D1,
at that point, why isn't it just a scholarship then, right?
well,
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
easy to make it a scholarship.
and you're saying if the scholarship goes to paying for their tuition and all that.
Yeah. Covers their room,
Yeah,
their board, food, tuition, all of that. Yeah.
maybe like a stipend for like whatever they want. You know.
Stipend is getting
Dang,
into
Jason.
paying
Like,
athletes territory.
I mean, they get a per diem, so when they go to away games anyway. So,
That is true.
Interesting. So,
I mean, yeah, I was just gonna
oh,
say
go
that,
ahead.
like the idea of making college athletes getting paid like fair is because it's not like regular sports. Because there's like with the NFL, there's 30 teams, 55 people. So like it's easier. But there's like hundreds of college schools, or whatever, and like I think it's just hard to make it paying kids fair outside of like endorsements, just because like ultimately like some kids are just better. Like it sucks, but some kids are just like better and have more
And those
name
better
value,
kids
and
will go
those
to the
kids
better
are
schools
gonna
and
get
get
paid
paid.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I think
that
that's
was kind of
fair.
the point I want to make.
I
That's
think that's
already
fair.
happening. The good kids already going to the better schools, even if they're not being paid, which they probably are, but they're still like nobody's gonna pick like Norfolk University over Alabama if they can go play at Alabama. Well, maybe this season, but generally, just like. But yeah, that's all I want to say about
Yeah,
the.
no, I understand what you're saying. I want to break down a couple numbers here. Through the entirety of the NCAA, only 34% of athletes receive financial compensation at all. 57% of that is 57% of Division One athletes receive financial aid. 63% of Division two, and then Division three and Ivy League do not allow them to receive athletic scholarships.
And I'm giving the example of football specifically. Football is an intense sport. It's dangerous. People get injured all the time. You're putting your body on the line, and you're not getting anything for it. It's crazy. Why you should? I do. If we're going with Alex's general idea of I think it's scholarships, I agree. If you're putting your body on your line for that, in those ways, you should get some form of compensation, and that form of compensation should forthrightly, I guess is the word, forthrightly be a scholarship before you pay me. Before you pay me as an individual, make sure my school is taken care of
Right. And I
first
think
off.
that talking about going to better schools, I mean, Ivy League doesn't allow athletic scholarship. That's the point I'm trying to get across. And like, why is that the case? Ivy League is by far the most expensive school to attend. And
Mhm,
so why not take that money towards scholarships that these Ivy League universities are bringing in?
mhm.
I think
Are
specifically with
are
Ivy League schools, like, oops, sorry.
I was gonna say how much are these Ivy League? What was the Ivy League school? Harvard. Let's see, Harvard
Yeah.
College
Yeah, like Harvard,
Athletics.
Cornell, NYU.
Oh,
Wait, no, not NYU. What is it?
let's see.
Uh,
Stanford? Is that it?
Cornell is Cornell one?
yes.
I'm trying to look
Brown,
at
Columbia,
Harvard
Columbia, that's what it is. Brown,
annual.
Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, UPenn.
All right, I'm trying to find how much Harvard brought in last year, last fiscal year in terms of from college athletics, which I don't even know if they break it down that way. So everybody keep talking while I do research.
I think like specifically looking at like Ivy League schools though, I think Ivy Leagues are different in a weird because like I think a lot of Ivy League schools, especially when it comes to sporters' reputation, like they don't want to be seen as like a sports school in the same way that like say Ohio State is or something like that. Like it sucks because you know you shouldn't
Right.
have athletic programs if you're not going to like give people the same ability to like because they have to all they have scholarships for other stuff that you can receive. So it doesn't really make much sense to be like, oh well, you know, since we're not an athletic school, you don't get it, you know. So I think Ivy leagues are like in an interesting scenario, but they're still
Sure.
wrong. but
Yeah.
sure,
No, I totally agree.
And
Um,
There,
as
oh,
I would. Oh,
uh, I have one question, and maybe Alex can speak to this. But even if you are like, let's say, pick to play football at Harvard, you still have to have the grades to also get into Harvard. Am I not incorrect on that?
you would, yes.
Yeah. So you should.
Unless you're the child of a celebrity, but then there's a whole lawsuit against that right now. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So even
yeah,
then, not only are you a talented football player, but you're also academically gifted, and you don't get anything for that. But I think that's crazy. Like I should get some
yeah.
form of
right.
I don't like the term free ride because it makes it seem like you're getting a handout, even though that is essentially what it is. But you deserve a free ride.
I mean, but let's just make sure that Harvard isn't the standard, right? Because like
Sure.
for most of these schools, you know, you look at your Georgias, you look at your Alabamas, pretty much any good SEC team. Not to disrespect these dudes, but most of these guys, they weren't playing, they weren't in high school for school. They were in high school for college football. You know, so most of these
Right.
guys, their grades
Right.
suck.
Yeah, but I mean, we're
You
also
know,
talking,
so
those are
like,
all Division One teams or Division One schools. And like I
yeah,
said, Division One athletes, only 57% of them get any financial compensation at all.
for sure, for sure. Yeah.
Well,
And so
I
if you allow these colleges to pay their athletes, that number's not going to change. It's the people that already are getting the full rides are going to be paid even more on top of that. And I think that's what's wrong.
Yeah.
and my counterpoint to that is
Yeah.
it wouldn't be regulated by the schools. It would have to be regulated by the NCAA themselves.
Yeah, well,
Or well,
let's talk about the July 1st, 2021 decision the Supreme Court made against the NCAA, right? Which officially allowed players using what's called the NIL or names, image, and likeness in order to be endorsed for whatever products. However, there is a pretty sneaky thing they put in there, which individual players can accept money from boosters, which is considered any longtime donor or local businessman with ties to the university, meaning that individual players can get straight handouts from donors in the university.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, once again,
That's
already
the stuff we
happening. They
saw.
just made it
Yeah,
allowed.
yeah. They just made it
It's
illegal.
already. I mean, that's why like Miami. They didn't make. Did they make it illegal, or is it just like it's legal now, right? That they can just take money. Because like I'm a Hurricanes fan, so like that's pretty much why they got fucked over, because they got caught taking players got caught taking monies from boosters. And like in Miami's not the first. It happened to SMU. I'm pretty sure. Like this players getting paid. It's been happening for so long. Like that's why I'm personally in favor of like the nil deals, because now it's like it doesn't have to be this weird kind of like scary thing where like, oh, if like the coach is just giving me a duffel bag, like it's a drug deal, So like that's why like I think nil it works, because like sure there's probably still gonna be shady shit happening because the NCAA is just fucked up in general, but like at least there's like at least it's not like you won't get in trouble now, so
Sure.
But my whole thing is right. Talking about the NIL deals, which stands for name, image, and likeness for people who don't know that, is that these kids' faces are put all over the college campuses. Like they're putting the kids' faces all over the college campuses. They're putting them in their uniform on buses, and all this stuff costs money. And maybe my whole point is, I'm not saying the players need to have all of it or a lot of it. Maybe just 1% overall of the budget. Maybe just 1% divided up, because the schools are making so much money off of these kids, so much money. Especially if you
it's
go to
who get
places
put
in
on
Texas.
pamphlets should get paid.
You're
No,
saying
well, I
1%
think probably,
of what the school brings in from that program.
yeah, maybe if it's just 1% of what they bring in from like their football program. Because you go to places like Texas,
Which is going to be
where
disproportionate based on the popularity of that program, is it not?
yeah, yeah, but I'm saying obviously for each school it's going to be different. But so all right, let me break this down. If you're playing for the UNC Charlotte 49ers and you're their QB, I do think that even though that team sucks, I'm sorry, that team sucks, you should still be getting a percentage of profits. Now, the 1% for UNC Charlotte versus the 1% for Texas A&M is completely different. But I do think that it should be like you get 1% of your program, I get 1% of my program. And of course, the better players will go to the better schools. And it's already happening anyways. So it'll balance itself out like it's been balancing itself out. The people who can't make it go play for the crappier teams, and the people who can't go play for a better team. I don't think you
Well,
should be
I
punished
mean,
for
I
that.
believe that is true generally, but I do think that there are players that don't go to better schools because they can get higher scholarships at lower universities. Lower university is a bad term, but at other universities, um, because they are not those top players, right?
And
Yeah,
I agree.
and student comes first. So I feel like a lot of them no.
What are you laughing at, Trakari?
No, I
He said
mean
being a student come
you're
first.
right.
That's a lie.
That was such that felt like such like a high school football coach. Student comes first.
I'll
No,
tell
but
you what.
continue. That
After the way Oregon whooped Colorado, you think Deion Sanders is going up to his kids talking about school comes first? No, those kids are running laps till they can't breathe anymore, bro. And that's just the way it is. School don't come first.
that's
It's always
crazy.
about the
You should
athletic.
become a football coach, Ollie. Because that was a crazy student comes first.
I love the sentiment, but it's not true at all. Like these schools are multi-million. Some of them I think are maybe multi-billion-dollar operations. They will fudge the numbers to make sure you pass your classes, as long as come Sunday and Saturday night you're ready to go play some college football.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that's how it should be,
No, I
But
totally agree.
in a perfect
Yeah.
perfect world.
If we could restart the whole
Jason,
system, yes.
so what about high school players then? Should high school players be allowed to get paid too? Because a lot of the
I
same shit is happening in high school.
No.
I do think a lot of the same things
Me
are happening in
personally,
high school.
oh,
Oh, go ahead.
You
yeah.
wish you
You go
got
ahead.
paid in high school?
I was just gonna say, I wish we sucked. Our rugby team at least. But
We,
I think that like I think it's the same kind of. Oh, what were you gonna say, Ali?
I said we would have owed money.
Yeah. Based, let them know. But yeah, I mean, I think high school player. I think it's the same deal for high school player. Like I feel like high school players, by that same logic, so should high school players, because high school players are making the same sacrifices, and it's all the like, it's the same like shit on a different scale. You know, maybe even a bigger scale, because a lot of those kids are not going to go. They're not even going to make it to college. You know, they're already harming their development because like they're running into guys at like what, like 60 miles per hour. Is that what the thing is or whatever?
Yeah,
So
they're
like
all
how
gonna
many
have
of these kids are
CTE
like,
when they're 15.
I didn't say that.
I'm just saying. Some of these, some of
But
these
yeah,
kids
I
are gonna
mean,
be
I feel
22
like
with CTE and Alzheimer's.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, you can't. They're making the same sacrifices. So I feel like you can't say like you can't argue against them getting paid either. You know what I'm saying? So especially when they go to
And
these private schools like Providence Day.
oh, don't tell me that was went to private school too. Um, none of it's better than that. But I I was thinking about me and my grandfather were actually talking about this earlier today. That you go to places like Texas where they build high school stadiums to fit 10,000 people. Why does your high school need a stadium that big? Number one, I understand that football is deeply ingrained in their culture in places like Alabama and Georgia and Texas, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, but some of these college like places like Texas, where there are high schools making millions of dollars off of these students, yeah, maybe there should be a fund. Maybe you should pay the
MG
student.
Academy is literally like a football school. Like it's
Yeah,
literally like a private school for football players. It has other
yeah,
sports too, but football too.
yeah, and maybe for high school, let's say for high school because they're kids, let's not pay them, but let's have a fund where when you go to college, you take your percentage of this fund. All players get the same percentage. You take your percentage of this fund to help you pay to go to school.
But that
You
gets back
know,
into Alex's thing where it's like if you go to like a shitty high school like East Meg as opposed to like let's say Charlotte Christian. Do they even have a football team? Whatever. They're a fancy private school in Charlotte. Like you're fucked. You're not gonna pay for college. Like Alex said, you're gonna owe them money. You're gonna owe college
Uh,
money.
I don't know. I see pictures of those East Mac games that does seem to be filled to watch them lose,
East
but
Meg is like
they be
three and
filled.
11. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like
they be filled to
they
watch them
suck.
lose though.
I mean, their seats are
They
filled, but it's a small stadium.
yeah,
That's
it is
true.
a small
Yeah.
stadium, but again, that goes into the scale thing, right? You go to a football team,
Yeah.
high school football team in Texas, where we're seating can fit 10,000 people, and all 10,000 of those seats be filled. Then obviously, yeah, you're gonna be able to, those kids are just gonna have a bigger piece of the pie. But that's just how life is. It has to be equitable to what you bring in. It can't be equal, but we can make it equitable, right?
So if these
That
people are
doesn't feel
getting
fair though.
paid
I'd be
at the
pissed
high school
off.
level, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like it's not. I think it's what you're about to get to, but I'd be pissed off. Like, because what am I supposed to do about that? Like, it's not my fault that I'm subbing
Move.
for East Mech instead of like
Right,
my.
right,
Okay,
You're
well,
supposed to move.
right.
People
But like,
already do it.
you're talking about these schools in Texas which bring in 10,000 people per game versus a school in North Carolina which brings in, I don't know, maybe like 500. Who knows? It's like just like Trakari was saying, if you're zoned for these schools, then you're going to have a worse chance of getting into college at all for the sport that you're playing if you're allowing these teams to pay their athletes at that high school level
Well, why would you think they have less of a chance?
because they're not bringing in money. And so you would get to the point where people would then start moving to get to these bigger schools where they have better programs and they're being paid. And then those schools are going to become direct funnels to any sort of Division 1, 2, or 3 college.
But
It's already
that's
basically what's happening, but at least
that's
they're not
already what's
getting paid
happening.
for it.
Kids from
But they're
Myers
not
Park,
getting paid for it, which I think is a big
yeah,
difference.
yeah, kids at Myers
Well,
Park
they probably are, but
who
not
play
officially.
basketball, yeah, kids who go to Myers Park to play basketball are probably going to go to 3 schools. You're either going to go to Duke, Carolina, or Davidson College. Then from there, if they meet the 7% requirement, get that 7% chance to maybe go to the NBA or maybe go to the NFL. That's just how it goes. And
Who
I'm
would your brother
saying
go to?
my brother went to Charlotte Country Day, so he played
No, but
2
what college
years.
did he go to?
Oh, UNC Pembroke, which is a D2
Doesn't that
school.
defeat your own point then?
Well, does that not defeat my own point? Bro, maybe he should have been better. I don't know.
Does maybe he should have not sucked. I don't know what to say.
I don't know what I don't know what you're trying to
As
get
long
at,
as he had
bro.
better handles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's just that you said like
partially-
these kids they go to like one of 3 schools, so it's like because this
Oh
this
no,
is like
I ain't gonna lie. Dallas switched schools
with
to a school that gave him a better opportunity of playing in college. Charlotte Country, his chances of playing
okay.
college ball at him at Myers Park, he wasn't getting enough play time compared to players he was better than. Like just like not even hyping him my own brother up, but he was better than a lot of those other kids he were playing with. He didn't get enough playing time. He went to Charlotte Country Day.
Not having him out, but he was better than all those other kids.
Yeah, he was, bro. He was. All these other kids, they doing nothing. He's playing college athletics, so proved his own point. And then he went to Charlotte Country Day.
I
where
play
he
college athletics
started.
technically.
Yeah, you played rugby, bro. Like
Yeah. Should I get paid? Since I play D2
nah,
rugby?
your program
Was
brings in
it-
$0 annually.
When you say you played college athletics on like what scale? Were you like actually like endorsed by the school? Was it a club team? Like what was it?
I think we were endorsed by the school. We just sucked dick.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
yeah, that happens, man. Me personally could never be me. I understand what you went through,
Yeah.
though.
Can never
I could've-
you were
Yeah,
right
because
there
it was our
next
high
to
school
me.
experience.
You were right there next to me. That couldn't be you.
Yeah, I was right. I was, bro.
We all played
When
on
we
the
got
same
beat in
rugby
high
team.
school?
We all sucked.
Bro, pause. The way we got beat in high school, I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. We went zero. Did we go like 0 for 13? Was it like 0 for 13? I like that.
Yeah,
Nah.
no, we don't gotta get into the specifics.
Yeah, no.
Nah,
I
we
took
didn't
my
get into it. We
L.
sucked. We were straight doo-doo doogie butt cheeks.
Bro,
Well, I wasn't.
I
I
wasn't.
was not doo-doo
I
butt
was.
cheeks.
That's crazy. How come
Hold
none of
on
y'all
now.
were bad and yet the team sucked?
I don't know what you're talking about, Alex.
Hey, I play D3 rugby. I don't know what to tell you.
Like D3
I could have made it to the league too, but my knees.
With your knees, yeah. What was the name of that
Yeah,
one
exactly,
the
man.
one PE teacher we had in high school? This is a random throwback who played for like the Cowboys or something.
Coach
The
Doolin.
older,
Doing?
yeah, Coach. Yeah, bro. I want to end up like that guy. But a lot of those college athletes
Out of
end
the
up like
league and now a gym teacher.
Teaching
Yep,
driver's
out of the
ed?
league and now teaching driver's ed, probably making $35,000 a year. Couldn't be me personally. Get your
You
money
just said
up.
you wanted to be you.
No, I don't want to be him. I don't want to be. I don't want to be like him. I make money. I make money.
What
I got
are you
paid,
doing right now? Are you even making $35,000 a year right now?
bro. Y'all even post a money spread? I'll post a
Okay,
money spread.
back to college sports. Back to college sports.
Back to college sports. I'll post a money
Okay.
spread on the Instagram account tomorrow.
By that same logic, Jason. Okay, so actually going back to college sports, because I do have a question. Should people be allowed if well, this might be a better question for Alex. So if you're saying college athletes shouldn't be paid by their schools, do you think it's still fair that we can bet on them, like the general public can bet on college players? Like, should we stop that too? Do you think?
No, I mean, betting doesn't go to the school.
I mean, I know that, but still, it's like, at least with the NFL, they're getting paid. But like here, it's just like, so you're making it like someone externally, well, once again, I guess it's already happening, but they're making like a huge profit off of work that I'm doing, and I'm seeing like not because like even the NFL has like sponsorships with like DraftKings and stuff like that, that go to their revenue, and I'm not sure how that stuff. I'm not sure if the NCAA like endorses that type of stuff, but like I can only assume like to me that doesn't feel right to me from a moral sense that like okay, so these kids aren't like officially being paid, but then people can also just like bet on them. Maybe that's just like a moral thing that I don't fuck with, but I guess I was just wondering.
I don't know. I mean, that's a very interesting situation. I think the difference between the school paying them and then betting is like you said, the NFL themselves gets endorsement by DraftKings, but I mean, so do
Yeah,
players. Like, look at, for your example of
it's true.
DraftKings,
Yeah,
Ryan Fitzpatrick is endorsed by DraftKings and he's in their commercials and he's
that's true.
doing all
Yeah,
that stuff. So, like, if the players of the college on the college level wanted to seek endorsements from DraftKings, sure, go ahead, right? I'm fine with seeking endorsement for their name
yeah,
and likeness outside of their
yeah.
school, but I don't think that it's the school's responsibility to pay those students.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying. I think like so. Would it be fair to ask of everyone here to say that the general consensus is like kids should be receiving something in return, right? Like
Right.
anything. Is that like a
Yes.
fair statement to make for all of us? Okay, I think that's chill because I like because like a lot of people like to shit on college athletes, say they're just there for the money, like and kind of what you're saying. A lot of them like they're just doing it because like they love it and like it honestly does provide a way for kids who otherwise probably wouldn't go to college to be in college. So
Right. Right.
that was yeah. So Jason, you got anything else?
Can you repeat your whole point? I'm so sorry. I missed that part of the conversation. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. I missed like the first half of
Okay.
what you said.
When you're editing these, Alex, you should leave him saying, "Can you repeat your point?" and then cut to after I'm done explaining it. So basically, I was just asking. I was asking. What started was I was asking Alex about like people being able to gamble on students. I personally don't think that's chill. Like, especially like if you can get like because it's kind of because in the NFL, there's like there's sponsorships and like that goes direct to the NFL that contributes to the revenue, which you know math somehow through math trickles down to the players. I hope, but like I don't know. I was just because it feels weird that you can bet on college players to me when it's not that same circumstance where it's like because no money's really going to them. Then it's just like but you can still like bet on them. But like, what if they get hurt? It just feels fucked up. Is basically the point I was getting at to be able to bet on students. You know what I'm saying? Student first, right, Ollie?
Exactly.
It do low
Let
key
them know.
feel kind of Hunger Games ish, doesn't it? It does feel a little Hunger Games ish. Betting
It's
on
definitely a
which
little fucked that like
yeah.
yeah.
I think that is a moral issue of our society that we got to tackle first. Like low key, why do we think it's okay to put children in these positions? First of all, from the minute
Yeah.
they're like literally like
Yeah.
6-year-olds playing like football. I mean, there's a whole lot of other
Yeah.
questions. I personally, I don't like gambling. It's just such a slippery slope in a lot of different ways.
Aren't we doing an episode on you guys gambling at some point?
I'll try it. I'll try it once. I mean, I'll do
What do
anything
you
once.
got?
You
What do you
got
mean?
Yes,
gambling.
you
God.
come with us, Drakari.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
You're coming
you're coming
I'll
with
go, but I'm not gambling.
Yes,
You're
you are.
betting
Yes,
on
sir.
black.
We're gonna bet on UFC matches all day until we're all broken to crap.
I will gladly gamble with your money, Jason, because seeing that you're making over $35,000 a year.
Well, my money.
I will for
I
sure
didn't say
gamble
I
with
had
your
something
money.
to spread around. I didn't say I had something to spread.
I'm
I
betting
hoard
on
my
black
wealth.
every time.
Yeah, I hoard my wealth. I don't know about y'all. Where's Jeff Bezos' billions at? I'm gonna hoard that.
Bro's taking a grave.
That's crazy. uh, but no,
I do think.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say I do think gambling is kind of crazy. Like I honestly don't think you should be gambling at the college level. However, I think it should just start at professional athletics. What about you, Ollie?
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I think it should only be on with like professional athletics, not college. Because like I don't know, it just feels weird.
It
So,
feels
Jason,
like
you're
the
okay
auction block.
with paying the athletes. And the whole thing is that the athletes on the college level are saying that they are just as athletic and competitive as on the professional level, so they should be treated like the professionals. But you're saying that it's okay to treat them like the professionals, except for when it's gambling, then you should not treat them like the professionals.
Oh, so to be clear, in my perfect world, there would be no gambling at all. So my whole point to that is, I do think we've already made the jump to gambling. I don't think we could just go back to the time period where it's like no gambling at all, right? Excuse me, but if we were to do it, let's just say don't gamble on kids, but you can gamble on adults. And
I mean, they
man,
are adults. At the very least,
I
they're
agree.
18.
Yeah, I was speaking. I'm sorry, I was starting at high school.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
high school said they only gambling on children. I think that's crazy.
Gamble on high school
Um,
football?
yeah, I don't think you should be able to gamble at high
I
school
mean, you can
football.
bet on
I do think
anything.
that's already happens. I think that already
Oh
happens
my
in
god,
ways
I
that we
didn't even
don't
You
know
can
know
about.
bet
that.
on the World Little League Championship. These people are middle schoolers.
Yeah.
That's kind of based, actually.
No, it's crazy. No, it's crazy. It's insane. Like that's kind of cool, but we need to chill out because gambling in sports. I mean, just look at FIFA, bro. Just look at FIFA. Just look at the
Oh
FIFA
man, FIFA's like
organization.
a whole corrupt system.
Yeah, I mean,
FIFA's
how do
worse
you
than
think they can?
NCAA.
FIFA's rigged.
Absolutely. Alex, how far are we into the episode? Because if we're not that far, I do think Jason raised an interesting point that maybe could be like a second half of this
Yeah,
episode,
sure. I mean,
kind of
we're
about
about
athletes.
43 minutes in.
Okay, so with the point you made about, because I think diving into the pressure that we place on athletes would be a good kind of second half. If any, is everybody
Sure.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Kind of switch up. Okay, so I'll just start now. Diving into like from what you're saying about the pressures we place on athletes from super young, like, do you think that like how we've created this like grand stage for just college athletes like is overall too much? Like, do you think stuff like March Madness and stuff like the college football championship, and not there shouldn't be championships, but just like this, how grand like the stage we place them on. Do you think that's too much for college athletes?
I don't think so. I think that
I don't
it
know, man. I think
helps to
like
prepare them for the league if they do want to continue this journey onwards. I mean, talk about gambling. March Madness is huge for betting, right?
Oh
it's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably the most bet on thing in America.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just like to me, it just feels like super. Because kind of what Jason, like we basically even. I think about basketball players because I see this a lot with them. Because I'm a bigger basketball fan than I'm a football fan. But like I hear about basketball due to like pretty much from the moment they get walk, it's been straight basketball, like nothing else. And then they
That's Dallas is
retire,
4 years
and it's
old.
like, yeah, and
I
it's like,
mean,
holy
those are the
fuck, I don't
people
have
that
like an
make it to the
identity.
league, right?
I mean,
I,
not always though. I mean, I get actually, I will say that is usually what you hear. So yeah,
I think kind of
I'm saying that the people in the league, those are the ones. It's very rare to
yeah,
find someone in the league who was not like that, but I'm not saying that everyone who's like that is in the league.
yeah, for
yeah.
sure, for sure, for sure. I get
What
what you're saying.
what
Yeah,
I was gonna say was it is kind of crazy how much.
What?
Sorry. I'll try to formulate my thought and I had a mental pause for a second. It is kind of crazy to think about how much pressure we put on children in athletics. Period. I just kind of think back to watching Dallas, and for people who don't know, Dallas is my little brother. Watching Dallas play, he played when he was a kid, I'm talking about before he was in middle school, he was playing football, basketball, and baseball. Some of those sports would overlap with each other. So some days he'd have basketball practice and football practice the same day. It's kind of crazy how much the level of importance we put on athletics, if you get what I'm saying. So it's a little too
I mean,
much.
yeah.
It's just a
I
little too
definitely
much.
think for like schools, like because so many schools they play for them they place a lot of their money making emphasis on athletics, so that trickles down to like putting all this pressure on like these like high schoolers to be like you got to play good and you got to play well because if you play well that means we get lots of money and we get lots of whatever and new jerseys and all this stuff. So like it kind of just goes back to what you're saying about how like it is, to me at least, it is kind of weird the pressure in which you place on athletes, at least student athletes, to like produce on a large scale so that other people can benefit and not just for them to be better players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if you're talking about the high school level, these kids are 15, 16. Some of them. I mean, I started high school when I was really young at 14. I don't know if that's really young, but I mean,
I'm pretty sure that's fairly typical.
yeah, I think it's pretty typical. I feel like that's normal.
I start.
Yo, cut that
I'm
out!
pretty sure
Cut that
I'm pretty sure
out!
everybody starts at 14.
Oh my god, I can't believe I just
I,
I
I
just
started.
embarrassed myself.
I started high school when I was really young. When I was around 14, guys.
I was
Look,
born
man,
when I
it's
was
been a
really
long.
young.
Yeah, man, I remember I was born at a really young age.
Oh,
But yeah, I
that's
drove.
nuts. Please leave that in.
Or no, bro, don't take that out. I drove all the way to Virginia and back today. I'm a little bit miffed. Okay, a little bit tired. Um, God, I forgot what I was gonna say. I had an important point.
Something about high school.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, going back to what you're saying, I don't think we should be putting that much pressure on children. Who some of these kids can't even drive yet. They definitely can't vote yet. But you're putting the pressure of a whole school's athletics program, maybe, or even the schools their school's own profitability on them, which is kind of crazy. And I'm just gonna say, if your school isn't successful without your sports department, maybe you shouldn't be a school at all. If people don't want to go there for educational purposes, what's kind of the point of your school? Yeah, your
Student
school needs to
first. Student
downsize.
first.
Student first, yes sir, student
Soon first.
Let them know, man.
But I mean, what schools are people going for their educational system or what for their educational benefits as opposed to like any other public school, which is pretty much the same exact thing?
I mean, I guess there's like mathematics schools.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's like STEM schools, sure, but I mean, like, that's a
Yeah, I guess
very
that's true.
small portion as opposed to people who just go to school because they have to go to school, who are neither athletes
That's true.
nor mathletes, and so they're going to just a
I,
normal high school.
well, when I said that part,
That
I
was
was
kind of
talking
a
about
bar,
colleges.
Alex.
That was a bar. I was talking about college when I said that.
I see.
If you're talking, yeah, if you're talking about high schools, I mean, this goes back to examples I've seen in Texas where if a school in Texas, like football is their whole thing. If they don't have football, they basically aren't in school. It's like, to me, I'm like, all right, at this point, why do you exist? For me personally, because, like Ali said, school comes first. Next, school comes first. That's the most important part.
Student first. Get it
I'm
right.
sorry,
Student.
student first. I'm sorry, student first. The student always comes first. I'm so
Gotcha.
sorry.
Okay, so you're talking college. So what was the point of talking about starting high school then?
I was
Bro,
really young when I started high school, actually.
Was that just a separate statement?
I'm so confused. I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Yeah, that was a separate. Did I not make that clearly a separate statement?
All
I
you
might be
said
tripping.
was I started high school when I was fairly young, and then you started talking about going to schools for their athletics program.
Oh, yeah. No, once y'all clowned me, I completely gave up on that
Oh,
on that whole
okay.
time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I completely gave up on that whole. I got clowned, and I was like, I'm done calling it. Yeah, me personally can can't be clowned like that. Um,
Ollie, as the only one of us who played on like, was the football team good when you were on it?
Nope.
They weren't good when we were there.
Has East Mex football
Okay,
team ever
still.
been good?
They've won the championship like twice.
I think they're
It was
good.
like in the 90s.
They were good like before we got there.
So they were good before any of us were born. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as the only one who played on, like, did you feel like any, like, because, like, with rugby, I think because we sucked and nobody really cared about the rugby team, I didn't really feel any pressure to be, like, good. Like, even when we lost, it was just like, okay, it sucks, but it wasn't like I know I'm going to get bullied tomorrow because we lost by 60.
I mean,
did you ever feel any of that?
The football team, no, it wasn't like that. It was. I didn't really care much for football, so I wasn't like really focused too much on it. I just wanted to get the season over with, and
losing by 60 in a rugby game is insane.
Losing by 60 in a rugby game?
Bro, we sucked, man. I don't know what more you want from us.
You're like the Broncos in week
3. Yeah. Bro, don't even start about the Broncos. Yeah. Look, man, a lot of us, let me not say a lot of us, be specifically, bro, I was fat. You talking about running?
You also never came to practice.
That's not, I only missed 3 practices.
Actually, majority of the team never came to practice.
Yeah,
so
I was always at practice. So I missed 3 practices, and now I never showed up to practice.
No, you weren't. No, Ollie, was he at practice? No, because no.
I was at practice.
Ollie, was he at practice? No, you were not. You were not at practice like me and Ollie were at practice.
Jason's that person to show up halfway through practice and like still consider it.
Dude, that's what he did. That's what he would do.
I did that one time. That's the whole story. I did that one time. It wasn't even my fault, dog. I had to go somewhere.
Jason would show up like an hour late to practice and be like, okay, guys, what are we doing?
Bro, that's crazy. I did that one time. And that's what I do all the time.
Because you did it more than once.
Bro, I did not. First, I paused. This ain't gonna become
better than most people.
Yeah. And this not about to be a Jason bashing party. Because pause. I put in my work. I showed up. Where was everybody else at? I was there.
Are you asking me and Ollie? Because you're like the
where was everybody
most dedicated guys. So
no. You know about me. Where was everybody? You were there. Ollie was there. Where was everybody else? I would start naming names.
How will we know?
I was naming names.
That's a really good point. How would you know?
Yeah, you don't know who wasn't there? Y'all don't know who wasn't there?
I know who wasn't there, but how am I supposed to know where they were?
No, I'm not being literal with the where were they. Come on, man. Come on. I'm being like, you ruined it. You ruined it. I was being like...
Let's get back to talking about pressure on athletes, okay? What do you feel, Trikari? You wanted to bring it up. What do you feel? Too much pressure on college athletes?
I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure on athletes in general. I think with the professional ones, it's a little bit more justified, but even then, like, some of the expectations, I think, for professional athletes are ridiculous. Like, Tom Brady winning 7 rings is, like, miraculous. It shouldn't be, like, a standard, Especially a sport like football, where he only plays, like, one side of the ball. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I just feel like the expectations we place on athletes to not just be, like good, because, like, even in college, I'll start with college, because even in college, we expect players to be, like, these kind of, like, almost perfect people, because it's kind of similar to what you said. They are celebrities, in a sense, so we treat them like that, even though, like, really, most of them are just, like, regular dudes, like, they're just guys who, like, happen to be good at one thing that this country loves, So, like, I think the amount of pressure we put on players to, not be scrubs, to not be, like, ass or to always play well or to, it's just like, I know I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with that type of level of scrutiny. Quite frankly, I don't know how LeBron has done it for like the last, 21 years of just everybody saying like, sorry?
You should watch Zach Wilson play football, and then maybe you'll change your mind.
Oh my
He has no
God.
pressure.
Zach Wilson has so much pressure. He has to live up to being Aaron Rodgers now.
And I wish it was Zach Wilson who he was like Achilles tendon disappeared on him.
Oh boy,
I'm hating.
that's
I'm
nuts.
hating intensely. He sucks, dude.
All I can say is
Didn't
right
he?
before the
Didn't
game,
he play
Aaron
good
talked-
last game?
No.
He didn't win that
He
game.
didn't?
They didn't win that game at all. They
Yeah.
barely made it.
I mean, they won the game, but it was.
No, they didn't win last game. Did they win last game?
What was the last game? Anyway.
Oh, now you got to pull up ESPN.
Yeah. Anyway, all I can say is that right before the game, Aaron was talking about manifestation. I'm pretty sure Zach did some of his manifestation of his own on that first drive.
Zach said,
I want to be a starter.
That's right.
Zach said, if nobody's happy, if I can't be happy, nobody can be happy. I mean, he used some of his voodoo black magic to make Aaron Rodgers blow out his tendon.
I mean, but even with like that Aaron Rodgers shit, like there's like a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers to like take this team that has like perennially sucked for like the last 3 decades and make them like not complete garbage. Like 40 years, yeah. Like they've sucked for that long, and now we're just saying, okay, Aaron Rodgers, you're really good. Make them not suck anymore, which is like ridiculous.
Aaron Rodgers chose that pressure himself. He could have won the last couple of years of his NFL career and just cruised along at like San Francisco.
But then everybody would have said he sucks and that he's a scrub and that he like isn't good. Like, like these players are forced into taking like, maybe not forced, but they have to choose if they want any respect for their career. They kind of have to take like this unnecessarily challenging path. They have to do the impossible. I mean, look, Kevin Durant. Like if Kevin Durant never won a ring, that's all we said. Oh, 0 rings, not good, not top 20. So he did what everybody told him to do. He went to a team that got him a ring, and yet people are still like, "Oh, well, he sucks, and he went to the Warriors." That's what players should be. But that's another.
Yeah,
that's another
me personally, I could never fault a man for chasing a bag as a certified bag chaser myself. But the thing about KD and speaking for Aaron Rodgers is 39 years old, and I think he's going on 40. I think he turns 40 this year. Like, he's old. I don't think that's necessarily a good example because he's a Hall of Fame level quarterback. He's done his due diligence. Katie's just hiding.
Katie's not just hiding.
Katie's just hiding.
Okay, let's go back to football because Katie's not just. You're crazy. But even with Aaron Rodgers, like there's people who would legitimately say Aaron Rodgers is not like a Hall of Famer because he only has 1 Super Bowl and like he's only won once. And like there's some people who'd be like, oh well, what has he really done? No, I'm not saying that. I think Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer, but still, like we put this pressure on like these. I think he's just a good example of the pressure we put on athletes to be more than just exceptional in an environment that takes truly a lot of work to just be even okay at. You know what I'm saying? So that's just
Aaron
the point.
Rodgers
That's
is an incredible role model in alternative medicines.
Absolutely. I think he should get a license to be a doctor. I think.
That's right. He'll have all of them doing darkness retreats and ayahuasca ceremonies, and the entire league will be turned around.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, everybody would stop smoking weed. Ollie, you ever gonna do a darkness retreat?
I'm not a professional athlete, so I don't need to do that.
But you're in the military, though.
Yeah, you're gonna pitch it to the military? You're gonna say, I think we should all go on darkness retreat.
That will get stricken down extremely fast.
Just say,
I think I might lose.
Say, how much budget do we have? Can we buy a sensory deprivation tank?
Budget, bro.
Dude, you could
Isn't the government going to shut down like next week or something?
On Saturday, yeah.
Are
Yeah,
we really?
we don't have the budget.
Listen, guys.
I could run the government
Okay.
better than anybody else can.
Okay, Jason, end the episode that we can keep talking about the government.
Yeah. So, guys, if you have anything that you don't think that we mentioned, anything that we weren't kind of clear on, please go in our comments. Talk that trash if you want to talk the trash, or say, hey guys, you didn't mention this, you didn't mention that, and um, you can post that on our Instagram channels, Threads, Twitter. We're on YouTube. Hit up our comments. This has been the OTOT podcast. Our thoughts on this.
It's called X.
Shut up.
It's called X.
Shut your mouth. Yeah, everybody boo him in the comments. Boo him in the comments. Boo Jakari in the comments for saying that. And now let's end this.
That's what it's called.
No, we're not doing that. Goodbye.
All right, bye guys.
Bye-bye.
Love you.